Danial Villegas. Villegas faced capital murder charges in the 1993 shooting deaths of two El Paso teens and had already served 18 years in prison before his conviction was overturned. Villegas' first trial in 1994 ended in a mistrial. The next year, he was convicted by a jury of capital murder and automatically sentenced to life in prison because prosecutors had not sought the death penalty. After his 18 years in prison, the 1995 conviction was overturned by an appeals court in 2013 and a new trial was ordered. The jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated for about 9 hours, starting Thursday evening and lasting through most of the day Friday, before reaching their decision. The ruling ended a 25-year saga that included 3 trials and numerous appeals. Villegas wept as he awaited the announcement and then collapsed to his knees when it was read. His family and supporters, who packed the courtroom, erupted in applause. District Court Judge Sam Medrano dismissed the jurors. Villegas and his family hugged and then rushed to the elevator, saying only that he was very happy and excited by the verdict. Villegas and his family then went to pray at St. Mark Catholic Church. Jacob Larson. A Michigan judge, growing increasingly frustrated with the defendant who was talking back to him, stormed down from his bench and rushed to subdue the man as he resisted being handcuffed. The 4-minute profanity-laced video showed the defendant, Jacob Larson, accusing Jackson County Circuit Court Judge John McBain of being buddy-buddy with a woman Larson had been accused of stalking for about a year. The hearing is about Larson's alleged violation of a personal prosecution order against a woman, who in the video is seated at a table next to Larson, but whose face is blurred. The video shows that the hearing began calmly, but escalated quickly as McBain questioned Larson about his persistent Facebook messages to the woman, despite a personal protection order against him. "I want her to tell me to leave me alone," Larson said, motioning toward the woman as he interrupted the judge. That seemed to irritate McBain, whose voice became noticeably sharper as he responded, "You know what? I told you to leave her alone, and apparently that didn't get through loud and clear. So today, you're going to jail for 3 days." What followed was an escalating exchange in which Larson accused the judge of being buddy-buddy with the woman, and McBain declaring that the defendant has a bad attitude. As Larson continued interrupting the judge, McBain upped his jail sentence. A court officer seen in the video said that he tried to take Larson into custody. The defendant tensed up and tried to fight him. Larson and the officer, identified by Jared Schultz, struggled as Larson continued to point and talk to the woman. "Tase him right now," McBain shouted as he threw off his judge's robe, ran over to the 2 men, and then physically helped pin Larson to the ground. Throughout the scuffle, Larson is heard cursing periodically. Judge Mindy Glazer.
Nautilus from middle school.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Arthur Booth was arrested after being spotted driving a car that matched the description of one involved in the robbery and causing a police chase when he refused to stop for officers. He was charged with various counts of burglary, grand theft, reckless driving, leaving the scene of a crash, fleeing from an officer, criminal mischief, and resisting arrest without violence, and appeared before Judge Mindy Glazer shortly afterwards in Miami-Dade Bond Court. Judge Mindy Glazer was presiding over a bond hearing for Arthur Booth. During the hearing, Glazer had an interesting question. "Mr. Booth, I have a question for you," Glazer asked. "Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?" Booth broke down in tears. Booth was 49 at the time of his arrest in 2015, but years earlier, he had attended Nautilus Middle School, the same school Glazer attended. Both were once promising students of Miami Beach's Nautilus Middle School. The video had been seen millions of times since then, but just the other day, the two were reunited again after Booth was released from jail. Both were once promising students of Miami Beach's Nautilus Middle School. The video had been seen millions of times since then, but just the other day, the two were reunited again after Booth was released from jail.
See you succeed. Don't let us down.
I won't. I promise not to.
Fernando Salgado. Fernando Salgado pleaded guilty to felony assault with a deadly weapon and to 1 count of attempted sexual assault with a foreign object, which would require him to register as a sex offender. However, prosecutors agreed they would dismiss the sexual assault charge in exchange for his testimony. Fernando Salgado calmly pleaded not guilty to the 2 charges relating to separate classroom incidents at A.B. Miller High School, but exploded when ordered to remain in jail until July 9. Wearing a green jumpsuit, which indicated he was in protective custody, he can be seen crying and yelling. "Get me out of here! Get me out of here!" yelled Salgado as he cried out, "I want to go home so bad," to his family and friends who had arrived in the courtroom to support him. Salgado would still be on probation for 3 years and serve 180 days in jail on weekends after his testimony. If the case had gone to trial, Salgado would have faced 4 years in prison. For his guilty plea, all other charges were dismissed and he was released from jail. He was being held on $200,000 bail at the West Valley Detention Center. If he does not testify truthfully, the full sentence may still be imposed and he would be required to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. Danial James Nicholson. Danial James Nicholson was at a pre-sentence hearing at Christie's Beach Magistrates Court in September when he was informed he would remain in custody. Danial Nicholson flew into a drug-induced rage, overpowered 2 officers, and launching himself over the dock. As he does this, a police prosecutor is quick to react and grabs Nicholson from the table, throwing him to the floor in an effort to stop the escape attempt. But Nicholson makes another attempt to free himself, injuring one of the 2 other officers as they come to help. Nicholson manages to break free, only to be restrained by the same sheriff's officer he'd just fought off. He's then dragged backwards as the scuffle continues. It was all witnessed by the man's lawyer, his family members, including Nicholson's son. The 35-year-old was in Christie's Beach Magistrates Court last September for weapons and driving offenses. Finally, after being taken away to the cells, he was charged with escaping custody and recklessly causing harm to the sheriff's officers. One suffered a broken foot and had to wear a moon boot for 8 weeks. Nicholson, a father of 4, had been behind bars ever since the incident. Larry Nasser. He was an ex-gymnastics student who was facing a trial for abusing several women. Randall Margraves, whose 3 daughters were abused by disgraced U.S. gymnastics doctor Larry Nasser. 2 of the Margraves daughters, Madison and Lauren, had just testified about the abuse at the hands of the doctor. Randall Margraves said he was a distraught father and cursed at Nasser, but Judge Janice Cunningham told him that was not allowed in court. He then asked the judge for personal time alone with the demon. The judge declined his request, but after hearing it, Margraves launched into a sprint toward Nasser. Court security staff tried to shield Larry Nasser. Margraves was tackled by 3 guards. Security rushed to stop him and grabbed him from behind before he was able to reach Nasser. Margraves later came back to the courtroom to apologize for his actions and was told he would not face charges. Nasser was sentenced up to 175 years in prison a week ago after testimony from nearly 160 of his victims. That was it for today's video. We hope you like it. If you want to see more interesting videos, then make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button,